get this whorehouse on wheels and haul ass out of town.
Yeah. I'm resident of Hollywood for YouTube. Jules Sayings, there has never been any sanity on this podcast. That is Anzel Faraj. We are interviewing him about his movie, The Great Nick D. That's Patrick McRae. That's Alan Glenn. So, Anzel, when did you and Nathan begin sitting down writing this movie?
I mean, the first time that I ever met Nathan, he told me about this character and this idea of Nick D, the porn star, and that was in January 2012. And but as far as writing it, I mean, we had so many ideas. There was one where Nick D went to Vegas to win money for an orphanage. We had one where it was Nick D. I mean, there were so many ideas. There was going to be a mockumentary where he had a star on the Walk of Fame and somebody replaced it, and we were going to go follow him and find it. But as far
was there suspended animation? Did any of them have suspended animation?
That's for the sequel, where we wake up and in the future.
I got it all up here. I got it all up here for you.
I'm sure you do. As far as writing the version that we made, I think it was 2014 probably, when it was going to be a web series.
Oh, that's interesting.
With Emmanuel Lewis? That's Webster.
Oh.
Yes. Nothing. I said web series with Emmanuel Lewis.
No comment.
I think he's trying to get you to cast something.
Yeah, I know.
Alex Karras needs work. Is he still alive?
Who? No, so he doesn't need work anymore.
Wait, who'd you say?
He needs work, like this kind of work, but no.
Alex Karras.
Yes.
The dad on Webster.
Right. Okay. Yes, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. He was in...
We're casting ideas that aren't going to work out.
Wasn't he in The Stuntman, too?
No, he wasn't.
No.
But I'm going to tell you, I have an idea for the Great Nick D 2000 already in my mind, because it takes place in the future.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
Was California always going to be the setting? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's where we live.
That was kind of... You said it at Loon Lake. Set it at Loon Lake.
Also,
I mean, it was California. I mean, yeah, because he's a washed up nobody that's on the boardwalk. That was always
it's also kind of the spiritual and physical center of the porn industry as well as the legitimate film industry. So
the Valley, I mean, that was more Woodland Hills, really. But I mean, it was always part of the DNA of Nick D, that the boardwalk in Venice.
I was wondering how far ahead of time did you start scouting locations, doing that kind of production stuff, Ansel? Because I don't really know a lot about that.
I mean, we knew. Again, I'm from Venice. Nate is a transplant into Venice. I mean, we knew various spots that we were always going to use, but I mean, when production began, when it was like, okay, we are making this film, it's happening. There's certain locations like the agency that Catherine Lee Scott runs, or where we shot the commercial. There's various scenes that take place in other spots besides the Venice Boardwalk and the Venice Beach area. So, I mean, we were scouting. We shot from April till September of 2023. Okay. So a lot of the times as we were shooting, when we weren't shooting, we were going and scouting locations. We were casting other people. Every day that we weren't shooting the film, we were getting the next round of
prepping it. Sure.
So it was kind of all happening at the same time. But there were certain spots that we knew. Like, we knew where we would shoot David Selby's house. We knew where we would, have Nick D's apartment. We, all that stuff was sort of, the groundwork had been laid like 2-3 years in advance.
Yeah.
Cool. I love the holes.
We went.
All
That was
the
a week.
shallow holes.
A week before shooting, we had to go and we had to dig all those holes to get ready for that. It was fun.
It was really funny. It was really funny.
Yeah, not so much fun to dig, but yeah.
Everybody pitches in. That's the way it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I dug it.
I thought the milieu was really good in terms of locations and so on. The beach being, a significant location, and then of course, and the character is really, in some strange way, oddly, most at home in these, he's sitting in his chair at home, of course, wondering if his life is going to continue, but also like passed out on the beach. He seems that this is a great establishing thing for his position in life at that point in time. What about the wig? What was the decision on the wig?
Those fucking wigs. I hated those fucking wigs.
Yeah.
There were day after day after day of him dragging me off to every costume shop and wig shop in Hollywood and Studio City. What about this wig? What about that wig? What about this? How about this one? I saw so many.
You should have gotten them all.
We did. We got like 6 fucking wigs.
Well, you could have different looks,
every other shot.
And then there was a day on Melrose where we went to Kelly Kitko's friend, who's a hairstylist, and he cut the wigs in different shapes. So there was the 90s mullet. There was the crazy drugged out one. There was a wig that David Selby wore in a sequence that got deleted from we did a flashback scene in the 90s. And while he's in there with the wigs, I was retyping the script outside for, getting ready for the next round of shooting.
That story came from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. That was Robert Wise and Shatner.
Yeah, right?
Shatner's wig, yes. It was a recreation of Shatner choosing his wigs.
It was pretty much
every day a different one.
We just didn't get production insurance for shaving heads, but
oh no.
But yeah, I hated those wigs. I still hate those wigs.
There's something fascinating about his main wig. It just is. It works. I mean, it works. But I can see how it could have been a real pain, to try to figure out what he's going to look like in these different time periods. Is he disheveled here? Is he in the 90s? Is he?
Here's a story. When we were shooting the second Dr. Mabuza film in 2013 for a 2014 release, where it was a day. I remember Jerry Mabuza.
Well, yeah.
Jerry was there. Catherine was there.
I got Mabuza right here.
I got mine too. Right? I'm ready. I knew you would have the hookah, so I had to get my supply ready. We waited for Nathan for 45 minutes while he messed with his hair. Every little strand. He's very concerned about his hair.
So he likes his bonnet. Perfect. Yeah.
Wigs. Yeah. No, he's got Olivier beat with the hair.
Let me guess. He doesn't like anybody to touch it.
Pretty much, yeah. Because if you touch it, then he goes and he fixes it again.
He has to go and redo it. Yeah.
And it's like
speaking of not touching a wig. Look at Jewel, and imagine Bobby Hill at age 35.
Well, aren't we getting that in like?
What's that? Bobby Hill from King of the Hill.
I know what you're talking about.
Bobby Hill.
I know what you're talking about.
If you watched a little more television, you'd be better at your job.
Oh, really? Okay. I remember when it was on. I watched quite a bit.
That's him look well.
Bobby Hill. Bobby Hill.
That boy ain't right.
Bobby Hill. My God.
He's reacting like Bobby Hill.
Bobby.
It's true. It's true.
My God. For the love of heaven.
So Ansel, anyway, how did you do the VHS stuff? Did you actually record on VHS for that, or did you do some processing?
You mean the fake porn or the flashback?
Yeah, the fake porn and also when he's looking back in the past when he was with his girlfriend.
No, that was shot. I mean, it was digital, and then we
just processed.
Yeah. And
cool.
but we did shoot it, at the 30 frame per second, VHS rate, and try to get it to look as downgraded as possible. And that was like early on in the shoot. We did all that, and then I had to make all the fake covers, which you fleetingly see in the film. But I don't have them on me, but the stuff that I wrote on, because it was front and back and stuff, and like I remember I wrote he won the Golden Phallus Award for best performance, and I think Spaghetti Western Trilogy or something. I can't remember what, but I cracked myself up as I'm writing these things, and like you see them just very briefly.
Briefly, yeah. But I'm sure the actors enjoyed having that to work with.
Yeah,
yeah.
But, yeah.
Cool. No, it adds to it. It was worth the effort for sure.
Thank you. No.
What I like about this movie too is a lot of the tracking shots of Nathan. You get to follow his character really a lot, and it makes you feel like you're right there with him. Nathan and you did a really good job of bringing this character to life, especially him losing himself and becoming Nick D and burying himself in that persona.
Yeah, I mean he's like, that character is as part of him as Pee Wee Herman is to Paul Rubens and Elvira to Sandra Peterson. It's just Nick D is in there, and it's not that hard for him to turn him on and be Nick D, and it was fun, but by month 5, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and actors can get a little psychotic with that shit too after month 5.
Every day strapping him into the fake belly, and getting fixing the wig.
Yeah. It's
like working with Peter Mayhew.
Kind of.
I know.
Irwin Kershner has the same stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just as in the middle of a scene. But
I remember that line.
I hope you do. But now, and even he says Nick isn't talking to him as loudly as he used to, before we made the movie, and it's kind of tempered down a bit. But yeah.
What are scenes you enjoyed filming most, Anzel?
Taking a stiff one there. Okay.
I liked filming the commercial scene. I like filming the commercial scene when he comes in. Not the commercial. Yeah, it is a commercial with the knives.
Yes.
Because we had Christine Tucker, who played Liz in our film Will and Liz, or Romance. And she was in there. And it was a lot of fun seeing her. So her and Nathan, they played lovers in Will and Liz, and in this one, she can't stand him.
Right.
And making this film, we put a lot of our actor friends that we'd worked with, over the years, and this was kind of a big thank you in a way for like, hey, all you guys have been with us for a decade plus and worked with us time and time again, and so we hadn't a lot of them we haven't seen since the pandemic and all that. So it was really cool working with getting her back in, and just all the fun interplay that went on, and I love they improvise it where Nathan goes, hey, I used to be famous, and she goes, nobody cares, and like that was just that wasn't part of the script, but it cracked me up. You can hear me laughing in the if you really listen to the audio.
It's like Roger Davis.
Used to be
My question is, if Ole and Jones acted up, did you threaten to get Jessica Lange?
No.
Oh, good Lord. That'd be a walk-off.
Olan is wonderful. Olan was so much fun.
Yeah, she's great.
It looks like
how
she
did
would
you
be.
how did that happen?
I've known her for like 10 years. I saw her. I saw her farthest thing from a comedy. I saw her do A Delicate Balance, Edward Albee's play, and she was really funny in it. Even though it's a heavy drama. And we connected, and I loved her in Mars Attacks and Edward Scissorhands and Miracle Mile, and I always wanted to work with her. And there was a couple things that I'd written that didn't happen, and when, again, it was time to go. Okay, we're gonna make this film. I said, oh my God, this role, Phyllis, is perfect for Olan. And Nate is like, no, she's never.
She's really a high spot.
She's fantastic.
She's really a high spot in the movie.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
She has a wonderful sort of accessible eccentricity about her.
Yes. And a lot of the stuff, like I she read the script and she loved it. And I said, you have free reign to do whatever you want. Like, go. Phyllis is a crazy character. Go far. Take it.
Yeah.
Like her sitting under the table, like that was her idea. It was, as we're at the location, she's like, I want to sit under the table for this.
She talked about the earthquake.
Yeah, for the earthquake, they made all that. I'm like, just have fun. And like her when she asks for the autograph, and then she gets all like sexy with him and is like bending over and stuff. Like that's all just Olan, and we're just like, just go, just do it.
Yep.
And she's wonderful. I really want to work with her again. Great fun to see her, play off of Catherine, and there's scenes that didn't make the movie because the movie was like a 3-hour film.
Yeah.
There's scenes where just that their interplay and the dynamic that they brought, because Catherine is just so mad that Nick has invaded her office and has turned it upside down, and Olan is just like, bring it on. And no, she was wonderful. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Catherine plays the status well in this. She's the grande dame who's completely frustrated by her son's, inability to understand what she wants from him and all of that sort of thing. So, I mean, that all reads really well.
They also had a really good, if you look carefully, Catherine and George, who plays Ned, her son, their wardrobe mirrors each other. So depending on what, their colors. And Catherine says, I lay out your clothing for you every morning. Like very like hands-on with him. And again, there's stuff that got cut where she's like fixing him tie and like being very like over smothering mom and
overbearing, controlling mother.
Yeah. And but not everything could make the film. That's why we put deleted scenes on Blu-ray.
It makes it in the layers of how they respond to one another.
Yeah.
That's all it does.
And
all that makes sense.
All that was great fun to see. Here's the thing, we'd had this script for so many years, and we talked about it, and we tried to get financing various times, and till it was when we were shooting Todd Tarantula, and then Nate was like, we have to make this next summer. So what was crazy was we both lived with this project for a very long time, and then seeing the characters finally come to life after you've written them and rewritten them and rewritten them and imagined them, and seeing Catherine fixing George's tie, or Olan causing chaos, or David with his stripper wife, and like just all this stuff that Lisa Richards as Aunt Judy. I have to say that was probably my favorite thing to film, because that was my favorite thing to write. Every time we would write that scene, I'd be on the floor laughing hysterically. And then when we did it, and I said, hey Lisa, my favorite part is when she says, I don't like the man in the hat, and they're both wearing hats, and just her delivery and her just wonkiness and the flamingos around her, like that was great fun. So to see all these characters, finally come to life, that was very that was nice. That was gratifying. Editing was not so much fun, but
I can't imagine editing would ever be that much fun, especially after the shooting all the stuff and having to choose, in some cases.
Whittling down a 3-hour film to 90 minutes.
So tell me the advantages and disadvantages of having basically a company of actors, because you've had that in many ways since the beginning.
Advantages, we're all kind of on the same page. We all kind of, there's trust, which you really need in independent filmmaking. We all kind of know what to expect. And I've been very fortunate that these very gifted actors have agreed to come back time and time again to
Yeah.
have fun, basically. And so for them to see, when we did Dr. Mabuza 1, when I was 20 years old, and we're in a 4x4 garage with a blue screen wrap,
You've come a long way, baby.
yeah. And now we're like, on location with crew, with all the stuff, for them that was I know that they were proud.
Yeah.
But as far as cons, I can't think of any, because you really need that sort of that as I said, that sort of that trust, and everybody's going to arrive and be on top of it and deliver and be reliable. So I can't think of any cons. There are no cons. No.
I always get the sense that when you were starting out, it was a great thing for them to help out a young filmmaker. But then as you progressed, you came into your own more, and they became part of your company instead of
Right. I mean, when we did that first film, all of us, myself included, nobody knew what to expect. They were all they weren't dubious. They were very game to jump in. And Catherine and Laura and Jerry, on that first film, they all were like, "Oh, this is a bit like being back on Dark Shadows of, we all got to pitch in and imagine."
Yeah.
But then, well, here's a story. I remember we had the table read for that first film, and it was nerve-wracking, to say the least. But they all kind of, and I remember Catherine had brought some more. They all brought some stuff to show me, this is what I'm going to wear and I had cut together a concept reel of like, this is what the movie's going to look like. This is what to kind of expect, especially because you're going to be in a garage with nothing around you for a month. And so then we all watched that, and I could tell that the perception and the mood had shifted. It was like, oh, okay. But they had to trust in me. I had to trust in them. I was so young. I was I could say I was scared, but I'd already directed Lyndon Childs, and he was scary because he'd worked with Hitchcock, and I was 17 years old the first time I directed him, so I really didn't know shit. But by then I was 20, and I thought I knew shit, and I had been able
It's good to think you know shit. That makes you go forward, though.
Exactly.
Even if you don't know shit.
Naivete are like the strongest assets when you're starting out.
Yeah.
Because if I knew what I knew now,
sure,
I don't know that I would,
That's why you don't want to know when you're starting out.
Exactly.
It's like nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
Right. That's Orson Welles said that when he got into filmmaking. He said, "I didn't know that it wasn't possible, so I did it anyway."
Exactly. And that's the best way to just kind of experiment and learn. But so by the time that we did that film, and it kind of became this thing, and they were like, okay, this isn't a shit show, when it very easily could have been, and so we all got comfortable.
Then it would have been in German,
right?
That's right.
You wouldn't be talking to me right now. But we all got comfortable with each other, and then my writing got better over the years, and I was able to I learned, as particular, and I said this when we did the tribute to Chris Pennick, of learning how to really speak and communicate with actors and be on their level rather than talking about the aesthetic and superficial.
There's a vocabulary there.
Yeah,
there's a vocabulary.
Yeah. So by the time that obviously we by this film, Catherine Catherine has always been like this sort of like this mom figure to me, and I just the way that her whole energy and the way that she just acts with me on that one on Nick D was like I knew I was she put me in the professional, like, okay, you're a director, not you're a kid behind a camera doing this thing. Yeah, I have no idea if that made sense.
Yes, as a matter of fact, when you become a peer of professionals, it's important. That's good feedback to have, and coming from Catherine, that's honest feedback. She's not the kind of person that kind of
very much. So that was nice. Cool. They're all like this wacky family that I have. It's very bizarre.
I do have a character question for you. Catherine's son in the movie, because he knew about Nick D, had watched his movies, how aware was he of the darker side of the porn industry?
I mean, he's an
dark side.
Yes, there is.
Is there a dark side? I don't know. Remembering that this is a comedy, perhaps not.
In the reality of the world of the film, I mean, he's grown up in the industry. He would know.
Right.
But the dark side of porn. So the porn thing, that was never something we ever wanted to get into. And when we were pitching the film around, we're like, he was a porn actor. This film is not about porn. There is no porn.
It's just his past.
It's an element of what he's doing. It's an element of his character. It's not, we're not making Red Rocket where it's like about porn. But I mean, so Ned would be aware, but it's not at the forefront of his thought. It's more like you were good and you could act, and I know that you could act because you were acting
in those films, right?
In those films, it's something that Laura says at the end of the film of like you gave performances, it was there. So as far as the dark side of porn and the dark, because it's not just, I can tell you this, it is not just the porn industry that has a dark side. Hollywood has a dark side. Very much so. And
I think in Ned's case, he's really focused on getting his own thing going. He's meeting a famous guy who he has seen act and he likes what he's seen.
Yeah.
And B, let's impress mom and get out from underneath of her straightening my tie every day.
Something that was with that we always thought about with Ned is that Ned is not cool. Ned is he's this misfit geeky guy, and like Nick is cool in his mind. He gets the girls in the films, but he's also got this swagger and he's got this attitude and stuff. And so Nick would love to be cool, or Ned would love to be cool like Nick. So that's something that he's his hero. And to run into your hero and that's his big thing of, wow, this is who I would have loved to have been growing up and who I never will be, and can I help him? That's Ned's prerogative. And by helping him, I can maybe become my own man.
Exactly. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for Ned as well as for Nick. I mean, I think they share an opportunity there.
Yeah. Really, really amazing film.
Thank you.
Really amazing film. Does anybody else have any questions for Anz?
Tell me about that crazy lens. That really changed a lot.
Yeah, I fought for that.
You should have. I want to hear the story. It looks like a movie.
Well, because it is a movie.
Well, I know it is a movie, but you made movies before that did not have that anamorphic kind of.
Yeah. I mean, I fought for that. That was something that I was like, we have to include it in the. I fought for the anamorphic lens and I fought for the musical number. Those are my two things.
Who fought against it, and how did you defeat them?
Well, our lead actor didn't know why I wanted the anamorphic lens nor what it would accomplish until we did camera tests. And then he saw it and was like, "Oh, that's what we're paying for." And I'm like, "Yes,
yes."
Did he burn with shame for having?
I said, "You got your fucking wigs. I get my lens.
I get my
That's
lens.
right. There you go. That's an argument we had.
Yeah." And
you put that wig on the camera, it does nothing.
I mean, also, I love Nate. So, like, there was a lot of stuff where he was just like, he would let me just handle that side of thing. But I was like, this is a movie. This is a film about movies. This is a film about Hollywood. I want it to, granted, there's a lot of interiors. It's not sort of, visually, like, let's say Loon Lake is very reliant upon landscapes and mood and atmosphere. Todd Tarantula is a very visceral, psychedelic experience and stuff. Nick D, it's a lot of offices, it's apartments and stuff. Yeah, we're on the beach at times and stuff. But I wanted that CinemaScope, Ramon's Chinese theater feel of like, this is a film about film. And I want that reflected, and this is the closest way to get that was through this anamorphic lens. And then, after we did our camera tests and it was seen, okay, we have one lens and we have this anamorphic lens. This anamorphic lens looks, clearly 1,000% better. There was no argument. And then the musical number, everybody kind of fought against that. Not the actors, but the people behind the producing.
Music plays a big part in your movies. I mean to interrupt you here.
No.
Movies, but music plays a big part in your movies. I think especially here. You're very sensitive to that, and has that always been a thing for you as part of the filmmaking process? Oh yeah. I mean, you have to kind of know, especially when you're editing. Really, when you're editing, that's when you're knowing that the tempo and the rhythm of what you're building. And that's where I noticed it most.
Yeah, the funny thing is I feel that in hindsight, maybe we could have used a little bit more music. But it is what it is, and also the music was kind of left to me to dictate. I was like the Hound of the Baskervilles. The music was kind of left for me to dictate on it of the placement and my directive to Jeffrey Birch who did our score. I said I want you to score it as if the Beach Boys scored a film.
All right.
And he kind of ran with that and delivered. The most complicated thing was to, we had to have the song, before we started shooting. So Nate had to, pre-record that. We had to have that, well, Nate's cousin actually did the music for that. So we had that all sort of locked down before shooting began. And then, as we were shooting, we would do the musical number and, do playback and,
You're a huge film fan. Are there movies that stand out to you as being inspirational in terms of their use of music?
On Nick D or just in general?
Just in general.
The one that leaps in my mind was Vertigo.
Oh wow! Yeah,
because
you couldn't have picked
I saw that when I was super young, and Bernard Herrmann's score is probably makes that film.
It's the most interesting character in the movie.
Right. I mean, it glues the whole mystery together, and I remember I was gonna make a monster movie. I didn't have a camera at the time. My parents couldn't afford one, but my cousin in Northern California had a video camcorder. So we were going to go up for the summer, and I wanted to use the music from Vertigo. So I remember I had an old cassette recorder with a microphone thing attached to it. And I got the videotape of Vertigo from the library, and I had the microphone like aimed against the TV speaker, and I recorded the opening credits.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good.
off the boombox in Northern California. But like, so that comes to mind as being very, significant. I'd say also, Phantom of the Paradise, Paul Williams music and songs for that.
God, yes, we just talked about that.
We talked about that.
Yeah. What a movie, yeah, and the score makes it. It sews the whole thing together.
Totally. So, yeah, I mean, all these, the music, the sound design, the photography. I mean, all these things are, elements, ingredients that you've got to be, thinking about, as well as, who's going to play what, where are we going to shoot it, like all this stuff that's directing. It's like you have to have that in your head, and even if you don't have it immediately, you have to lie and tell everybody that you have it.
That's right. It's part of the vision.
But with Nick D, we'd been talking about it for years and years and years and years. So it was kind of like, I mean, I knew what all would be required and what I wanted, and it was just a matter of, right, let's just get to shooting. Let's get it going, and then we can have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a hard question. Come on.
What's next?
You don't want me to do that.
I'm shooting something right now.
Yeah.
I'm shooting something right now. It's very cool. It's something I've been sitting on it for like 2 years.
Ouch.
And it'll be out for Halloween.
Nice.
Is it a feature?
No, it's just it's a right. The working title, the fake working title I'll give you guys, is just Theater Fantastic Halloween Special for 2025. But it is Return to Horror, and it's really cool. And there might be a familiar face or two involved, and
what is it about horror that attracts you consistently?
I mean, it's what I started with. It's what I was my gateway into filmmaking, and learning that this isn't just happening on the television. That there's a process behind what I'm watching, it's kind of fun because you can there's rules. There's definite rules depending on what supernatural thing or whatnot that you're dealing with, but at the same time there aren't any rules. Whereas like Nick D, we're making a comedy, and it's going to fit into certain boxes, versus like what I'm shooting right now. It's there's a little more leeway, there's a little more freedom. You can embrace the dream aspect of film, and the nightmare aspect, if you will. It's there's just more freedom. There's more freedom, but I don't want to be a horror guy. I don't want to be the horror director. I don't want to get stuck, like the Blumhouse dude, that they just do that kind of thing. That's never, even when I was a kid, that's never what I wanted. I mean, that's why I did Nick D. That's why I did Will and Liz. There's it's horror. It's commercial. There's always an audience for it.
I have a question. Okay, so you say that you want to get pigeonholed in horror, and I understand your desire to do that. But all seriousness aside, when you look at horror as a horror auteur, as one of your hats, is you have been alive and working and doing this during renaissances of horror and during lulls of horror culturally, and we're in a little bit of a lull now. So when you look at that, what do you think horror needs as a genre right now?
That's a very good question. I don't know that I can answer it properly, because I'm very particular with horror. I'm very old school with horror. I don't like slashers. Mm-hmm. I don't I you know, I mean, as I think most of us here can say, I think we're all kind of more of the gothic, fans. I'm much more of the psychological.
So you like what attracts people to it rather than what repels them.
Yeah, I'm not for the gore splashing across the screen, or the dumb blonde being chased by the guy in the hockey mask to get stabbed 25 times, or Saw, or Hostel.
The smell from the back seat.
Oh, please. The horror of high school.
Right.
Drive-in theaters.
Yeah. That's that. So as far as what does it need now? I mean, we went through the PG-13 jump scare thing, and now the violence is coming back. There's that new film, Bring Her Back, that just came out. I don't know if you guys have seen the marketing for it or not. I've heard it's very brutal, and there's violence against children and violence against animals, and to me that is not entertainment. You've immediately lost me. I don't know who wants to watch that.
It depends on the child.
I don't know. I'm raising kids, so my perspective is totally fucked at this point.
Sure.
But I prefer ghost stories. I think ghost stories, that's the best. That's because
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is the idea of a ghost scary to you? And if so, what aspect of a ghost?
I think the idea, not necessarily of a ghost materializing in front of you, poltergeist style, is scary so much as the uncontrollability of something that is causing havoc mentally, that is causing havoc, physically, as it were, if it's haunting the house or whatnot. That's more interesting because you can't control it. And you can't control light. You can't control, the chaos surrounding you at any given moment. And, also you can play into, and we did that of, is it happening for real, or are you just going insane?
Yeah, there's mystery to write about when you're talking about supernatural elements rather than and psychological sort of things that can be exploited.
Yes, exactly. So that's way more interesting to me. I don't know is that now what, because as I said, we've gone through that period of, we did the Conjuring were R-rated films, but it still plays into that jump scare, off-screen psychological thing happening. I don't know. At the same time, Del Toro's Frankenstein, the trailer just released for that, and I'm like, that looks fucking awesome. That's my kind of, that's fun for me. That I don't find that scary. That's like, bring it. But yeah, I don't know what the genre. I think the genre needs smarter writing. I think that's what we need.
I think that's a fair assessment.
And maybe not just limited to horror. I think maybe across. Oh,
in general. Yeah.
Does anybody else have any questions for Anzel?
Well, you've already told us what's next, so I have to say two things. First of all, well done, not only in Nick D, but in your progression from starting in a garage and creating not only different worlds, but also a working relationship with a lot of people. That's a real important part of the job, whether it's film or theater or whatever it happens to be.
Thank you.
That you're trying to tell stories. So well done in all of that. And finally, I said this off camera or off screen. I'll say it again. That is one hell of a shirt, and it's entirely appropriate for this discussion tonight.
That's my Venice Beach guy. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm glad.
Did you choose to start in a garage because it rhymes with your last name?
No, I didn't. But that quickly became a go-to when I had to, correct everybody how to say my name. Faraj.
I'll just say this, along with the, to rate what's going on tonight, I'll just say this: Jewel, me, Alan, you.
Okay.
Great Nick D. Think about it.
I think I'm good on returning to the Nick D world. I don't want unless I get a sizable paycheck to deal with the wigs.
You could always do a story about a little girl who sees ghosts.
Oh no, Jewel, don't. Oh, okay, that's a different one. Okay. He's always talking about.
Well, anyway, go buy this. Go check it out. It's a really, really fun film. I enjoy the hell out of this. Good job, Anzel.
Thank you.
Link to the Great Nick D will be in the description box. Go buy it if you haven't already. That is Anzel Faraj. That is Patrick McRae. That is Alan Golant. Have a nice night. Be safe.
Jewel, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all, John.